Okay, so I accidentally performed a nice bit of science here. Hello and welcome back, everybody. We're on episode 2 of our little tutorial series here, The Colony New Beginnings. We have survived our first drought, and today we're going to focus on a little bit of expansion and starting on coming up with a plan for Badtides, as all it takes is one bad tide to really ruin things here. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So as far as expansion goes, I think the next step is going to be working on potato farms, because that's going to give us a good back supply of food. And then we need to probably address getting better power and get gears going as well. So those are some things I want to work on today, and let's get to it. Before I hit the record button, I was kind of surveying this a little bit. It doesn't seem like there's gonna be a really clean solution to dealing with a bad tide. What I've kind of come up with now is basically blocking off this entirely, and when the bad tide comes, using a floodgate to shut it off completely. And then hopefully what ends up happening is the water raises up a little bit and then exits either here, which is one direction, and also this way, and then drains out over here. And then maybe put some levees down to block any spillage over on this side. It's a pretty rough idea, but it will have to do until explosives or stuff I can use later down the line. The other idea was using this, but I'd have to build a rather large reservoir, and it doesn't really cleanly solve my problem either. I think if I try to use this, it's just gonna flood over and then get run out and cause a lot of problems. So I think utilizing this over here is a better idea. We'll see what happens when it happens. On some of the other maps, it's a little more obvious how to deal with the bad tides, but this one, unless I'm missing something, there's nothing inherently obvious that's like yelling at me on what to do here. Alright, so let's get it going. What I'd like to get is gears going for getting the bigger water tank. This is really helpful as it holds 300 versus the measly 30 that the small ones do. So it holds 10 times for only 4 times the space. So it's really nice to get to it pretty quick and early. Alright. I want to ideally get those trees cut down. Good. And then I'm just going to demolish this, because what I want to do is I want to get my potatoes started and then get a grill going. We'll build it right here. Where's potatoes? Potatoes, potatoes. Now, potatoes are an interesting next step as they actually need processing, and that's where the grill comes in. Now, what makes potatoes really strong is, as you can see here, it takes 1 potato, 0.1 log, and it makes 4 potatoes. So, at first glance, you're like, oh, it takes 6 days to make 1 potato, but 1 potato gives you a lot of food versus the carrots, which 4 days gives you 3. So potatoes are very efficient when you start them going. Where I'm gonna stockpile the potatoes is the next question. Okay, so I want to put the grill down. Where do I want to put it? It's always like the $1 million question. Well, seeing as this whole like area back here is kind of unairable, I'm thinking we do something like this. And then we put regular potatoes here. Now the reason I just do a small warehouse is like it's just gonna be a little bit of overflow because you can actually end up putting a bunch of potatoes in the grill, and then you can also get a bunch of potatoes in the farmhouse. So I don't think it's really that necessary to really stockpile the raw potatoes, but the cooked potatoes, they add up really quick. And then we'll just put the cooked potatoes here. Kind of like in between the work and the lodging. I don't really need the power wheel right now. And it looks like we're very stocked on planks at the moment. Ideally, I'd like to be stocked more on logs. Here we are. I would also like to have the planks be easily stored here. There's a lot of things I want. What else? This gives an output of 100. I believe it could definitely have more if I just put it farther out here. But that's okay. What I can do now is split the workload as where I have more harvesters than planters. I believe that makes it so that it's a little bit more efficient as far as harvesting and planting goes. think we're getting to a point where increasing the population is also going to be useful here. You want to be careful when you increase the population, though, because if you don't have the means to support them through food and water, well, then you're just going to kill off your entire colony by mistake. I've actually almost done that on another playthrough, where I accidentally killed off a food source I had. And because of that food source dying off, at the same time I increased my population, and it wasn't pretty. Let's just say it was not pretty. 2 inventors right now. I'm gonna up my builders instead. So these logs are starting to get pretty full too. Which makes me think I should upgrade this to a large pile, because I also want to start getting at these logs here so I can start this project as soon as possible. Alright, so let's think about how I want to expand this little living space here. We have stairs. The platform will also help. I'm going to unlock this now. What I'm thinking is expand with some verticality. We have plenty of planks, so since this guy's sitting around, it only means that I need to use my planks. I actually really don't like the placement of this one, but you know what? I'm gonna let it roll. And then maybe later I can dynamite out here or something. Well, we'll see how it goes and how I feel in the future, but well, I think this will work out. Well, the reason why I want to build more houses is they're going to increase the population when there's vacancies inside the houses here. Because we have people dying of old age and lots of vacancies throughout the colony so far, so increasing population is going to help fill some jobs. Such as my potato griller here. I don't know if I want to expand that much yet. So maybe we'll start with the first couple houses up there. And I have an idea, actually, of what to put here. Do I have the levees unlocked yet? I'm going to unlock this now so I don't run into this later. And then I'm going to unlock the roofs. Now, one thing to note, which is getting showed off here, is that the beavers can actually build, I believe it's up to 2 higher. This is off the top of my head, so correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. They can build up to 2 higher, so they don't need to be at the same level to build it. What gets even more helpful is when they build below. They can build infinitely below them, which we'll be able to maybe show off later. Now, sadly, one of the beavers who was in charge of running the forester here passed away, so just up the priority so someone can take over their job. Alright, and then don't forget to put the paths in. You can preemptively put them in, so you don't have to remember. And what this rooftop terrace is going to do is give them a little hangout spot, and it's going to increase their happiness a little bit more, so we can try and get more efficiency out of our beavers. We have our first oak tree growing in. Good sign. We are going to have plenty of wood in the future. Alright, I'm going to up the priority on this one and this one so that they can use the rooftop terrace and that other lodge. I'm going to lower their work days down to 18. As that'll give them more time to relax a little bit. We already have a potato harvest. All right, and we have a person operating the grill. All right, so as you can see, farmhouses hold 50. And these hold 30. So That's a lot of backstock on regular uncooked potatoes. And then they also hold 120 grilled potatoes. So it's going to be quite a bit of food. And I think that's going to support the beaver population very well. It amazes me how fast you burn through planks when you're doing even just little build projects like this. One more plank. Okay, they got it. And now they have the rooftop terrace. Should increase the happiness level. Now, another thing that I want to note is that I'm going to come back to this working hours thing. If they are working a lot, that gives them less time to just kick back and relax. And therefore, you won't get your happiness buff. Which is very important if you want to unlock these working speed bonuses, the movement speed bonuses, and the life expectancy bonuses. So giving them time to enjoy their leisurely needs is going to only help you in the long run. All right, excellent. Already getting grilled potatoes stocked up. Another thing to note is that the grilled potatoes are going to add food variety to their diet, which is ultimately going to increase their happiness and well-being even more. Benefits all around. Look at them enjoying their little rooftop terrace. There it is. New well-being high score. Nice average high score of 9. Big fan of these baby beavers enjoying the rooftop terrace. They're very cute. Probably don't need this anymore. We got the bigger log pile here. Alright, now that I've unlocked the levee, thinking it's going to be important to start this project. I'm going to also need the floodgate. Let's make a nice pretty straight line here. I'm pretty sure they can build diagonally there, so I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. However, I want them to be able to walk on these levees. Trying to gauge the height here. I think. Yeah. Just one levee, one floodgate should be enough here. And what's going to happen when I close the floodgates is, well, it's going to overflow on the edges here. Probably going to flow in here, which I'll have like a pond of bad water. Not ideal, but I guess I can maybe put some levees here to prevent that. But ultimately, I just want the bad water to go this way, instead of flowing in through my main water source here. Okay, so these I feel like are way lower on the priority. I want this on a higher priority. And then I really want these to be on the higher priority. Okay, just a drought. Nothing too devastating just yet. Probably get, now that I'm looking at it, this is probably a really nice spot. I like it better than this spot, and I believe it's more efficient anyway. I don't like this water spot here. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's levee off here. So it forces the water to flow this way. I'm doing this now because I really want to increase plank production and also start gears. I don't need to have this, like, ultra important priority. We'll take this unemployed beaver and cut down those remaining pines. All right, average well-being, high score of 11. The decorations are working. All right, I want this floodgate. I'll buy it now before I forget and buy something else by mistake. If you're new to the channel, or you found a short, or you saw the last video, this is a brand new channel project I've been working on, and really appreciate you guys for checking it out. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and stick around for more Timberborn content or more city builder content or things like this. I really like games like this, and it's been really fun trying something new out. So I appreciate you guys. I think I touched on it in the last episode a little bit, but I'll just go over it again. Having these stairs that go directly into the river is really nice, because if they do any task in the water, they automatically get this wet fur bonus, which increases their overall happiness. This guy's thirsty, so he's not getting the full benefits yet, but it's just a really easy way to squeeze out extra well-being out of the beavers. Very good. Looks like I pretty much prepped what I need to start this project. It's a 3-day drought, which should be fine. No direct or immediate danger. Alright, so what I've done here is I'm going to make these levees, and they're going to block the current that's coming through here and focus all the water current through these 2 water wheels. And ideally that's going to generate quite a bit of power So I shouldn't have to worry about this setup over here anymore, which I'll probably tear down. And then make industry over here on this side. Wow. Already a full warehouse of grilled potatoes. Plenty more where that came from. I don't need this lumberjack flag anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that. Can probably reopen this job here and they can start cutting wood. Okay, it looks like we got all the wood cut down over here, so we can expand this way as well. I probably don't need these lumberjack flags anymore. Consider leaving this one here when these trees regrow. And then we'll cut those down as well. So in the meantime... Ooh, I actually have 6 unemployed beavers. Let's open this back up. Raise this up. Raise this up. Let's try to fill these workplaces. Since we don't have power, the power wheel's useful. Alright, so our next step in industrial processing is gears and paper. Now, gears are going to be important because they're going to unlock the bigger water tank, but they're also going to unlock the vertical power shaft, which helps just move your power around. In addition to that, we'll get things like the wind turbine and the large wind turbine. Now, the regular wind turbine, you can just do logs and planks, but it only does 150 horsepower and it's kind of unreliable in general. The large one does 300, so even though like wind is semi-unreliable, it generates enough that it's kind of worth it, and it doesn't take very much space. It's really helpful in droughts when our water wheels aren't doing anything. So I would like to get to that point. Okay, next water wheel's going. The next question is, how do I want to set this up? Oops. So what I'm thinking here is I want to make a stockpile for logs. And then next to it, a stockpile for planks. All right, I think I have the vision in my head now. No, okay, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. Logs, planks. And I'm just going to do a small warehouse. This is what I have ultimately come up with. I'm not going to worry too much about it as I can expand it in the future. So this is what I think I'm going to work with now. Okay, we have enough for planks. So I put the warehouse on the other side here so that the gear house can have something to store it in. And it's an easy access area. Same goes for the gear house and the second gear house. When you line buildings up in parallel like this, they all share the same power. So you don't need to worry about chaining them up with power shafts or anything. What I was worried about happening here was them working on the water wheel while one of the beavers was on the other side. I'll have to save one from getting stranded. All right, let's look at this. Oh my goodness. Let's see. These levees are already doing good work here. Powering this water wheel. It's getting like 300 horsepower, just about. Whereas this one, I mean, this one's still doing like 200. It's doing decent. It's doing decent. And I'm going to extend this 3 because I think it's just going to look better. Okay, no longer need the power wheel, so we can remove that job. And this lumberjack can be re-employed. And because I have the extra labor, let's let the berry harvester go back to work. Oh, actually, really enjoying this little industrial area. Big fan of how it's turning out. Okay, now that the current's kind of calming down here, see, this thing's not really producing much power, whereas this... Oh yeah, that's a lot of power. Big fan. Alright, so slightly nervous though for the next cycle. It might be time for the Badtide, so I think it's a good idea to prioritize getting this going. But I want to get these as well. That way I can make the bigger water storage. Okay, looks like we're gonna need a few more beavers. Let's add that one more house. They have all these extra workplaces and no workers. Okay. Let's get rid of that. All right, so the gear workshop needs 120 horsepower, which we definitely have. And the planks need 50 horsepower. So as you can see, our demand is 220 here, and we still have an excess. So power is not an issue over here. Let's tear out these berries here so I can path my way towards this levee system here. Okay, good. We have the gears, and do we have the science? We have the science. Great. So what I'm thinking here is I delete these. And don't worry, the water is stored when you delete the water tanks. Let's build our tier 2 water tank. To up this. And this on the priority list. All right, as we can see, the investment in the oak logs is paying off. They're starting to get fully grown, and we're getting a nice stockpile of wood going. Alright, our food supply is looking fantastic, by the way. Water, less as much, but that's about to be solved as soon as this water tank gets completed. Let's put a second water tank by the housing area here. This is going to be an easier time building these levees and the floodgates. And then second priority, which they are. Okay, perfect. And I'll let them do their thing. I'm not even sure I need these birches anymore. We'll see how things pan out, though. I'm gonna make a path over here now. Because I just have a feeling I'm just going to probably put a levee system over here just to be safe. Maybe I could have it go this way instead of just the giant wall here. When the time comes. I'm gonna make a hauling post. The hauling post is going to really clean up some of my workforce a little bit. I'm not sure where I want to put it though. I kind of want to put more water pumps over here. I don't really want it in the residential area. What I'm thinking is just something like right here. I'm gonna unlock the lantern for some extra well-being points here. In general decorating. Okay, good. I'm getting nervous. I haven't got the warning yet about Badtide. I'm curious if the next one will be a Badtide or a drought. I'm thinking about purchasing the mini lodge and stacking them here in the middle. Just to squeeze out some more housing, or I was also thinking about using this as a stairway to the next level, which is also a viable option. haven't seen any injuries lately, so that's good. As you can see, you just use so much planks and wood. Any kind of expansion, you go through your resources so fast. Until you unlock haulers, this is a little trick I like to do to kind of move materials around. I set this to empty. The beavers will start hauling it over. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need another water pump, by the way. It doesn't look like my water is increasing, by the way. Makes me a little nervous. Alright, the levees got completed. Nice. Okay, 2 water pumps is probably enough to start hoarding water, get a surplus going. Three workplaces. Oh good, we have haulers now, so I don't need to do this goofy thing anymore. Once you have haulers online, you can set your stockpiles and warehouses to do some really useful things such as supply and obtain. Well, that's going to happen is your lumberjacks here are going to put the logs in the closest container, and your haulers are going to move them around for you. So what I like to do is I like to prioritize the tanks by the pumps as supply and the tanks by the residential areas as obtain. Let this sim a little bit. Alright, looks like the next step is another drought. So, no bad tide just yet, which is very comforting. I am not prepared. Oh my. Alright, this is what I was expecting, actually. Okay. It's behaving... This is good. This is showing me exactly how it's going to behave during a bad tide. And since it's a drought, I know what I'm going to do to prep for the bad tide. Okay, so I accidentally performed a nice bit of science here. And it lets me know that, you know, maybe I can just put floodgates here to... Without just like the first layer of levees here, I can just turn them into just floodgates. Oh my goodness. Well, I made a new pond over here in addition to everything else. Dang, I didn't expect just the levees by themselves to have such an effect like this. All right, now I have lots of ideas. My goodness. Oh, good. We got ourselves a nice little pond over here. Okay, awesome. Well, I think that's a good place to stop the episode. We didn't get a bad tide yet. We got to perform a little bit of science here with these levees. We got to expand our industry a little bit to have more efficient means of power, and we got rid of the old industry area. We leveled up 2 gears. We now have the 2nd tier water tank, which stores quite a bit of water. We've expanded the population a little bit and decorated. A lot of good progress today. In addition to the potato grilling operation now. So food supply is getting good, water supply is getting good. Still on drought phase, which means perhaps next episode we will have the bad tide. All right, so I'm gonna end the episode there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be on the lookout for more shorts in the future, in addition to the next episode here where we tackle bad tides. So I appreciate you guys for watching. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Make sure you sub to the channel if you're new, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you.